Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night.
Good night, Malaysian 370.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing.
From the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
What's up, chat? Welcome, good night, welcome to the stream tonight, guys. Appreciate you guys all for being here. We're gonna do a pretty short stream tonight. I'm wiped out from last night. I did a little after space after I logged off last night. Hold on a sec. It's a little too loud. There we go. That should be a little better. And yeah, it was good. It was pretty funny. Keemstar had me cracking up in the after space. The after space was good because we were just talking about, you know, more lighthearted stuff related to the drama and what have you. Let's do a quick recap of what happened last night, today, and then I'm going to jump into this letter. I'm probably going to try to keep it short as I can. What I want your guys' help with tonight on the letter is any type of kind of things you want me to tie in to the letter to Dr. Greer. You know, in terms of, I know a lot of people honestly have sent me links to The Lost Century, I think is what it's called. One of his documentaries. It's about the technology that, you know, he thinks is out there. So we're going to appeal to him from that perspective. Not so much about the story of the plane as much as about the technology. And yeah, should be pretty interesting. Andromeda ambassadors, yeah. Okay, so let me pull up. We've got a lot of interesting stuff we're not going to get to tonight, so probably tomorrow we're going to get to a lot more of the other stuff, and I'll probably try to stream earlier tomorrow. I've got a lot I got to do still, though. This has just been just a lot in terms of the correspondence with people, trying to work through getting people on for hard truths, posting on Twitter, going through the science, all the stuff. It's just a ton of stuff. I don't have enough hours in the day is the reality of it. Okay. What is this? What is this? Michael Cera with a mustache looks so sketchy. Wow. Okay. I don't know what was going on with all that. Okay. So the big stuff today was I saw Tom Montauk was in my replies from when I posted the scalar physics thing. And so I use that as kind of a springboard to get more attention to this. It's funny, the science gets the least amount of views out of everything. Did I dox myself? Probably. It's no big deal. The science by far gets the least amount of views out of everything here. Tell Dr. Greer about the night I called Jeremy Corbell baby and then I missed him. That was actually one of the better streams, honestly. But the science here was pretty cool. And then I dug through my replies, and all of a sudden I was like, wait, that's Tom Montauk. One of the replies down here. I think it was in this one. Yeah. I'm like, boom. I'm like, wait. It's like montauk.net. I'm like, wait, this is literally the dude who made the YouTube. I was like, this is the dude whose work I stole. I mean, it didn't steal it. I edited it up. It takes a long time to edit this stuff, chat. Just to like cut out all the small talk stuff and to like add the closed captions on there. It takes a lot of work, man. But yeah, so, and I posted the whole link so no one can hate on me or whatever. But I saw his replies in there. I looked at him a little bit and his stuff. You know, one thing that I'll say on some of this is, and I don't mean this to be disrespectful to anyone at all, but I find that once you start, and I've said this before, is like, once you start to open your mind up to the science and what's possible, it kind of like opens it up to everything, right? And that's why I'm very particular about not going into a lot of the esoteric aspects, and even why like I don't really talk too much about the idea of aliens and stuff like that, just because, as I've always said, like personally I think there's probably aliens out there somewhere. Whether or not they're visiting us, I don't know. Reality is I just don't really care that much. It doesn't impact my life at all. But you'll find that a lot of the people that start to dig into the science and stuff like that also then start to dig into a lot of the more esoteric aspects, because the reality is once you realize that we live in some type of construct, it opens the door to all kinds of stuff that's out there. It really does, right? And it's a big question in terms of like, where do you want to draw the line? Now, for me, there is a certain aspect where like I want to draw the line in a way where we can reach normal people without them thinking that this is all in the woo. Because the reality is the science is not. The science is verifiable, much like a lot of the parts of the investigation we've been doing. And so, you know, I would say that for people that are trying to reach a broader audience, that's definitely an approach they should probably be thinking about. Even if, you know, people want to say their own opinions as much as they can, you know, I think they should probably also be thinking about like, okay, well, how do I reach the CNN brain people? You know, like a lot of the science like this will reach them when they learn about scalar physics. But if you start trying to equate it to like medical healing type things, like that's where it starts to get to the line where like, yeah, maybe it's possible, but you know, this is where you're going to lose a lot of people in general out there. So for me, it's like, and I'm trying to keep myself really grounded, because also it's like, I don't know where the damn line is with terms of what's possible and what's not out there. But what I do know is I want to get answers for the families of the victims of MH370, as well as to try to get this technology out into the public from these special access programs. And the government makes it really, it's really easy for the government to hide this stuff by discrediting people. So you have to keep that in mind, that it is always an information war for sure. Now, the truth reality of it is that when we're looking at the MH370 videos, I do not think it's aliens. I don't think it's aliens. I think that it's actually our technology from Lockheed Martin. That's my true 100% opinion. It's not me watering it down or anything. Early on, I actually thought it was aliens. And then the more I investigated, the more I learned about the science, the more I learned about what's possible and what our third-party contractors are doing, the more I realized, it's just us. So just to let you guys know that's my true opinion. Now, wow, 167,000 views in 8 hours. Now, this is because Eric Weinstein actually replied to this. I tried not to be rude in this post at all to him, but I thought his response was really flippant, for sure. And we got a response on why. So let's take a look at this. Last night we were in a space, a really huge space that had about 900 people in it at one point, nearly, with Jesse Michaels, super impressive. I was not just simping for Jesse Michaels yesterday. Like, he's actually really impressive. He's a history major, we found out. But his understanding of the science is, you know, probably better than mine is, I would say. And that's not really saying too much, I guess. But I've definitely come a far way from just November to where we're at now, 3 months later. Because I was looking back through my Salvatore Pais interview this morning. And it was crazy how much more I understood from what Salvatore Pais was saying compared to me in the video. I'm going, wait, wow. I'm like, this is like, from all the science that we've done and researched already, like I was even kind of cringing at some of my own questions. Like, what is superconductivity? I'm sitting there asking, I'm going, oh, God, it's zero resistance, Ashton. Don't be an idiot. Anyway, that's besides the point. So I thought the answer was strange about the question that I asked him about room temperature superconductivity because he said not interested. And that is a really, really weird thing to claim because how can somebody who's I think that Eric Weinstein's a physicist. I mean, a physicist is a title, you know, in terms of what science is your major. Like, he's actually a PhD in mathematics, but, you know, being a theoretical physicist doesn't require that formal education. It's more about thinking about our reality and the nature of our reality. So somebody who's interested in physics, why would you not be interested in room temperature superconductivity? To me, that's just completely unacceptable. Room temperature superconductivity is possibly the largest discovery of our entire lifetimes. That's just based on what it can unlock, what it can enable. Most people, I don't think, realize the concept that electrical engineering is the basis for almost everything in our entire lives, including the computer that I'm using right now, the camera that I'm looking into, the internet that we're communicating through, Wi-Fi, everything that is out there, right? And room temperature superconductivity will change everything about our entire planet. It doesn't even, I'm not even talking about UFOlogy with respect to this, right? Now, why are they mixed together? That's pretty apparent because when you look at this video right here, UFOs, we're talking about things that are hovering without any visible propulsion. And we're looking at rocks hovering by the Meissner effect here, right? Room temperature rocks hovering around it. Now, from the other perspective as well, is that the big issue with superconductors is how much energy it takes to cool them down in order to achieve superconductivity. When you take that away, now you open up, just from a logical standpoint, a capability where you can imagine a scenario where you might be able to produce more energy than you're putting in, or at least a very high degree of efficiency, right? To me, it's hard for me to take any scientist seriously that does not think that room temperature superconductivity is one of the most important aspects of our entire lives with respect to scientific achievement. It's huge. I think that if a scientist, a physicist, or an engineer is excited about room temperature superconductivity, then I'm going to be listening to them a lot because they understand the implications of what this all leads to, right? And here are some of the ones that I wrote out here, and I kind of watered these reasons down because I didn't want to freak anybody out, but portable fusion power, green energy, computers 1,000 times more powerful than we have now, 1,000 times more powerful, hoverboards, it can explain how UFOs can float freely. Now that's kind of simplifying it. There's more to it than that. But this is a lot of stuff that puts us into the worlds of Back to the Future, right? And this is important because we're going to be writing a letter to Stephen Greer here in a minute where we talk about a little of this stuff, right? So to me, this is how are you dismissing this? Seems wild. So let's see what his answer was. He replied to us today. That's why we have so many views. That's not at all my intention. The answer was hyper-specific to a ubiquitous problem in UAP discussions. It wasn't a general technology space or physics space. It's kind of a cop-out, right? It's just a space where somebody's asking you your question. Like, people want to know stuff about the science, right? In those spaces, I would have said, I have nothing to contribute, but it's a fascinating area. That's also a weird answer, right? It's like, if you are even what we call the science influencers, like Neil deGrasse Tyson out there, you should be read up on room temperature superconductivity. And you should be ready to have an opinion about it. 100%, right? Because of what I just said before. I mean, that's like being like, oh, well, fusion power, or what's a better thing? It's like, oh, well, computers are neat, but I have nothing to contribute to the idea of computers, or nothing to contribute to the idea of AI, let's say. That's a better analogy. It's like, yeah, AI is neat, but I have nothing to contribute. But you don't have an opinion on AI? I mean, everybody has an opinion on AI because they can think of the implications of it, right? So for Eric Weinstein to say, I have nothing to contribute on the idea of room temperature superconductivity, has he never thought about what the implications are? Seems pretty big. The problem in UAP discussions is that they have this bizarre fascination with metamaterials and the like. You cannot metamaterial your way around the cosmos. Physics is a big field. So I think he's making some pretty bold assertions there. First of all, I think you might be able to metamaterialize your metamaterial your way around the cosmos. Again, I think that he needs to look deeply into what room temperature superconductivity achieves, because first of all, from a metamaterial perspective, now that's where we're talking about magnesium, bismuth, zinc, right? And the interesting thing about that metamaterial out there is that you can create a sort of barrier between the outside and the inside of the craft, where you have different electromagnetic effects happening on either side. It's like saying, well, airplanes don't really matter with respect to flying. Well, of course they do. Or saying like a space shuttle doesn't matter with respect to flying around in space. Of course, the materials matter significantly, right? And what we make out of it matters as well. Well, I will say is that there is a bizarre fascination with metamaterials, absolutely, right? In the UAP community for sure, right? But at the same time, I think there's a logical one, because if you look at the conclusions there, it's like, well, there needs to be a way where these things are able to do what they're doing, right? And material science is a logical way to get there. And condensed matter, solid state material science are fascinating. But as long as Einstein is the law of the land, we are far away from everything worth visiting, and it is all but pointless to talk about engineering ships limited by the speed of light. So this actually makes me wonder if he understands physics that well at all. Now that's going to come off as a little bit rude, but has he never heard of ER equals EPR? Leonard Susskind and Juan Maldacena? Einstein-Rosen bridge is consistent with physics, Einsteinian physics as well. And the whole point is that in order for UAP phenomenon or aliens to be visiting us from another solar system, we have to be able to travel faster than the speed of light, exactly for the reasons that he just mentioned right here. So I think that if you're going to jump into the UFO field, the very first question you need to be asking yourself, and this is true of anyone, any scientist out there, is how do we travel faster than the speed of light? First question. That's the very first thing people should be thinking about. If you can't wrap your brain around that, then respectfully, you shouldn't be in the UFO field at all. You don't even come into the field, right? If you're the type of person that thinks there's no way for us to bend the rules in such a way where we can't travel faster than the speed of light, then your voice doesn't really matter in this field, because you've already ruled out everything, right? And this is what I've told people who, are people that think that aliens are visiting us, but they want to hate on the idea that you can't teleport an object, right? Well, it's kind of a mandatory step if you want to be able to have a spacecraft go from one star anywhere in our galaxy to another. You got to be able to move faster than the speed of light. 5% of the speed of light, which is still really, really fast, is going to take you 80 years just to get from Alpha Centauri to us. That's not a reasonable amount of time. So I think that this is a weird statement to say right here, right? Is that if it's pointless to talk about engineering ships limited by the speed of light, well, first of all, you have a false premise there. We're not talking about engineering ships that are limited by the speed of light. The metamaterials are what's allowing those ships to travel faster than the speed of light, or equivalent to the speed of light, or anything even close to it, right? And that's what the whole point of UFOlogy is try to explain how these things might actually be able to get to us. So more or less, the physics and science discussion in UAP space is always about the wrong science topics, in my opinion. So I'm perhaps overly brutal when I talk to people about the following things endlessly. So here's the thing that now really makes no sense, right? How can those be the wrong things? I mean, I think we just presented the case that those are the only things. From a scientific perspective, the most important things should be talking about how to travel the speed of light or beyond the speed of light. Because if we can't do that, just like Eric Weinstein said, then what's the point? How can aliens be visiting us at all, right? Everything's really, really, really far away. So, because what that does then is if we say that there's no way to go fast as the speed of light, now you've limited your capabilities for non-human intelligence. Now you said that it must be an ultra-terrestrial hypothesis, aka they're from here, or it must be a situation where they're from somewhere very close by, like Europa or something like that. And even that's pretty damn far away. So I think it's a little weird and presumptuous and a little bit egotistical as well to rule out all of the stuff in this paragraph up here and then come here and say, oh, well, they're talking about the wrong stuff. I'd argue the exact opposite. These are the things that we need to be talking about. Material science, metamaterials, which is materials that are beyond our current material science capabilities, and faster than light travel. Those are the things that we need to be talking about, especially from the physics perspective. Guys, don't simp on me too much in the chat. It's getting awkward. Now, he says these are the things that they think people talk about endlessly that he is kind of brutal about, supposedly. Metamaterials, relativistic time dilation to evade the speed of light. Okay, sure. I mean, time dilation is 100% real. Wormholes, we definitely talk about that. High temperature superconductors, yes, we talk about that. Interdimensional beings, sure, I'm with him on that. I think that the idea of interdimensional beings is, it's a little too mystical, a little too esoteric, and there's no point even talk about it at all. The universe is made of consciousness. Yeah, I mean, sure, it's also esoteric. I mean, I still think that absolutely there's an element of consciousness as a singularity. Generation ships, yeah, not interested. Angels and demons, agree, I'm not interested. That's just an interpretation of what aliens might be. Element 115, we don't need element 115 at all, is what our investigation has found out about. Gravity wave B, I don't even know what that is. And remote viewing, remote viewing, you guys know my opinion on it. I'm not going there with respect to that. You know, listen to what I was saying before. Yeah, only simp about Lulu chat. Okay, so why is this? And so here's where I think he's misunderstanding me. Because now you kind of poison the well when you include all these things together. I would argue that the first four here have nothing to do with the last, like, seven. Metamaterials, time dilation, Rosen-Einstein bridges, and high-temperature superconductors are absolutely straight-up science. Straight-up evidence-based, reproducible science. Engineering. They're not inconsistent at all with Einstein physics. Time dilation is 100% real, and it's not a matter of evading the speed of light. It's a consequence of two objects moving at different speeds. Especially when you approach the speed of light, you're going to have a time dilation effect, period. Again, we've talked about ER equals EPR and high temperature superconductors. This is not mystical science in any way, shape, or form. The rest of these are interdimensional beings, universe made of consciousness, generation ships. Now, the reason why this one's probably borderline generation ships, because now you're talking about von Neumann probes and reproducible probes, things like that. And then the rest of them are definitely more esoteric, except for maybe element 115. The thing about element 115 is, sure, element 115 is a real element, but is that what you use for, producing these effects that we see above? That's the part that's a little bit more esoteric. Okay. Why is this? Because if we are going to take the possibility of interstellar travel seriously, it will require new fundamental theories to plausibly traverse the cosmos. And this kind of stuff crowds out that discussion. So this is where I think he's completely, he misinterpreted me. Because this is literally what I'm talking about. That's what the first four things on this list allow. And this is part of the reason why I think that my comment about the scientists, come on, man, Tom, come on. The scientists of the current generation, of the old legacy, they are completely just disconnected from the younger, right? Where, they are taking whatever they think they've been told to be true, the idea that everything is too far away, and they're not using real science here to solve those questions and ask those questions. Because what he's saying here pretty much is that none of these things here are going to reach the new fundamental theories to traverse the cosmos. The answer is the first four are how you're gonna do it. And that's what I was trying to get at with Eric Weinstein when I asked my question. So this tells me, sadly, that I think I'm completely on base with respect to the closed-mindedness of the current crop of physicists that are out there, the influential ones and the theoretical ones that are out there. We need people that are looking at the same physics through a new lens. Hey, Ellie. How's it going, everybody? So the fuller answer is, I want to talk about making this field meaningfully more scientific. Then you need to be talking about the first four things. Ruling out the first four things on this list is not scientific in any way, shape, or form. These are proven science, without any doubt. Metamaterials are proven science. That's talking about making elements or making materials that use different elements at the atomic layer that have different properties and structure, or different properties than what their baseline element is capable of. That's straight up material science. That's stuff that's really important. If you want to repeatedly and endlessly discuss wormholes or metamaterials in the absence of hard data, and in the lieu of fundamental physics beyond our current picture, which would make visitation possible, I'm not interested in crowding that out. I want to ask where the scientists are, where the hard data, and what theories would be needed beyond Einstein and the standard model to justify focusing on engineering questions. This is literally the thing that I'm asking him about and trying to achieve. But you're free to spend your time on that. If you think is the way forward, go for it. Best of luck. I mean, I guess he just doesn't get it, because that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Exactly what I'm trying to do. ER equals EPR. That is the theory needed beyond Einstein and the standard model to justify focusing on those engineering questions. So sadly, I think that this is the kind of response that I feared from people that aren't thinking outside the box. We do not need to break the laws of physics as we know them. We don't need new theories. The theories are out there. It's already been solved. We just need to look at them and consider the implications. Metamaterials, time dilation, wormholes, high temperature superconductors. Absolutely important. Huge. I'd like to see him respond to Bob Greer here, who I ended up retweeting. So, my response. We don't have to get approval from anyone. What we are doing, Egon, is we are challenging the status quo. So, I'm glad you asked this, Egon, because I think this is the next important part that we talk about here. We have to look at what's going on through the lens, through the broader lens of, what I want to say, like the layout of the battlefield itself. We are in an information war. Revealing this technology is not as simple as just saying some words. We have to be challenging the old guard with this information. We have to do so in a respectful manner to them, knowing that they are, encrusted with their current beliefs, like we just saw with this post. And you can keep this in mind. Eric Weinstein is potentially one of the people that could be sympathetic towards this information, right? So what we have to do is we have to get him to look at the data. We have the evidence. He asked about where the evidence is and where the physicists are. They're out there. We've been talking to Roy D. Herbert. We've been talking to Salvatore Pais, Bob Greer, Dave Rossi. The scientists are out there who are literally working on this stuff. We just need people like Eric Weinstein to look at it. Because when people like Eric Weinstein look at it and open their minds, it's going to open up the minds of millions of people that are out there. It's going to open a lot of their minds up, guys. So why then? My response then includes Salvatore Pais. I went back through and I found hard truths number 1. I found the part where he's talking about superconductivity, where he references another doctor, Dr. Victor Lachno, who basically argues that you can achieve high temperature superconductivity without metamaterials. Right? There you go. And I gave him the paper. Go ahead and read it. Please, Dr. Weinstein, please go read this. Because this is extremely important. So I basically gave him, I read that response and I gave him every single thing that he wants. I humbly believe you may have misinterpreted my intentions. I'm not a person who focuses on aliens or crash retrievals. I'm a person who wants to understand the science behind advanced technology that can change our world for the better. That's my goal. This is why I started a podcast to interview people like Salvatore Pais, who told me we don't need metamaterials to induce room temperature superconductivity. Physics and electrical engineering can accomplish the task without LK99. This is why I wanted your opinion on superconductivity. In the clip below from my first interview 3 months ago, when I barely understood any of this, he quotes Dr. Victor Lochno and the way from high to room temperature superconductivity. I will admit that I've become 100% convinced that ER equals EPR, and a unification theory of quantum mechanics and general relativity has already been discovered. And it does, in fact, lead to a conclusion that our reality is a construct, and wormholes are indeed possible via manipulation of gravitational forces. This is exactly what he was talking about, that we need a different approach to Einstein physics. Not really. All we have to do is unify what we already know about the double slit experiment in quantum mechanics with general relativity. I believe Hal Puthoff, who you interviewed with on Jesse's podcast, is fully aware of this. This is pretty important, chat. Hal Puthoff is a physicist and engineer with the DoD. He works for the government. Eric Weinstein is sitting right next to him, being told that all of this stuff is real. Right? He just needs to open his mind to it. The moment he realizes that you need superconductivity, that wormholes can become possible, and that we can manipulate gravitational forces, then you'll start to realize why metamaterials are so important. Because the craft have to be built a very specific way in order to produce this and make this happen. As for evidence of these claims, please see my replies below. I have been advocating for what I think is the best evidence in human history for superluminal relativistic speeds. You'll find that the science of these videos is consistent with the laws of physics. We simply need to bend them a little, right? Exactly the answer I think that we needed to give to Eric Weinstein. Now, I don't necessarily expect him to respond to this, but I do hope that he reads it and considers the words very carefully, because the physicists that are out there, the older ones, let's say the ones that are 50, 55 years or above, they've been living in a world where they were taught that it's not possible to go faster than the speed of light, that there's no way to do that, that it breaks the laws of physics, and that is not true. That's not true. This is wholly consistent with the laws of physics. The math checks out as well. It's simply a matter of throwing away our preconceived notions and biases and thinking slightly more outside the box. In my opinion, this video is the best evidence in the history of the world for advanced technology kept hidden from the public, as filmed by an MQ-1C Gray Eagle on March 7, 2014 at roughly 1840 UTC. Not only can we see the orbs ignoring gravity with some type of field around them, we see gravity manipulation in their propulsion, and where they induce a singularity via quantum entanglement, what we have speculated is a fourth orb somewhere. I think I'm missing a word there, but you guys get the point. So you want evidence? That's not going to get better than what we're staring at right here. This is the best evidence. This is exactly what Eric Weinstein wants. Now, the only thing that they could ask for that would be better is for the government to declassify this. Government declassifies this, there you go. It literally does not get better evidence than this. We're looking at it not even through a normal camera, but an actual camera built in order to give us the most possible information about what we're seeing here on this video, and we have a second video in perfect alignment as well from a different angle. Now, if we have this, imagine what the government has. We have this. A government must have some crazy videos, man. These videos are only like a minute long. And the reason why it goes beyond is because then it goes and shows it in slow-mo. Any physicist that's not interested in this Pretty wild. And I don't mean any disrespect to the people that are older, guys, and let's not disrespect them as well. I think that of course, there are always people who are older that are open-minded, but I'm talking about the science influencers out there. The Neil deGrasse Tysons, the Lawrence Krauses that are out there. These guys, sadly as it is to say, they're obsolete. Their way of thinking is old. It is not going to get us anywhere anytime soon. We need people that are thinking more forward thinking outside the box, and realizing that we do not need to reinvent physics. Everything that we are discussing here is consistent with physics as we know it. Pretty crazy, right? Okay. Now, after that, I saw Bob Greenier's reply, so I decided to promote Bob Greenier here as well, because he deserves it. This guy has been out there researching a lot. Even if I don't 100% agree with everything Bob Greenier's saying, I think he understands the underlying framework of this science possibly better than anyone. Maybe not necessarily better than anyone, but better than a lot of people. So, I'm going to put the headphones on. This is Bob Greenier, who I met after he made a video called Fractal Toroidal Moments. And the clip below is from that video. I later interviewed Bob for Hard Truths number 2 after my interview with Salvatore Pais. Evidence of gravity manipulation exists, and experimental researchers confirm it is consistent with theoretical physics. I would respectfully request that Eric and or any other scientist answer his questions in the retweeted reply below. Eric, and you can tell what he's getting at right here, right? He wants to force Eric and the other scientists to think outside of their paradigm. What is static electricity? What is it? How come, remember the needle experiment from space? Creates static electricity, and all of a sudden you're seeing gravity? How is that? What is ball lightning? What is it? What is special about the phase singularity at the center of a fractal N-Tor hyper super toroidal moment bearing structure? Right? What's going on in the center there? Is it a magnetic monopole? I think that's what he's getting at there. We'll see. So let's listen to his
at this point.
This clip.
They seem to be tumbling the monopoles, so it's not going forward. It's starting to rotate itself, and. Okay, do they align? Do they start to get into alignment?
This was a crazy moment for me to watch this chat for the first time.
Because what you want is the monopoles to have their own azimuth to produce a ring to create another tor above, and then you pull these in, and that creates the unification of the forces at phase singularity of the -1 tors. Look, okay, so they're pulling in at that point, right? That's exactly what you want. Right before, so they're rotating and pulling in. At this point, they seem to be tumbling.
So I remember watching this going, holy crap. Once you start to have dudes like Bob who are looking at your video without you even asking and trying to understand it scientifically, like that's the part where pretty incredible, right? So hopefully they take that stuff to heart. Think that catches us up to speed, chat. If you have any questions, throw them out there. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the letter to Dr. Stephen Greer. Now, why am I working on a letter to Dr. Stephen Greer? The answer is that several people have acted as intermediaries to Dr. Greer for me, saying that they want to bring this information to him. But they want it in a more digestible format. So I need to find, where's the link to my truth? High frequency gravitational waves, blah, 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 delete this. So the plan is to retweet my truth post about what I think happened to the plane, and then to try to make a short letter, probably 5 or 6 paragraphs, enough where it's not going to be too long. Because here's the situation, guys, and there's going to be people who are going to say, oh, Dr. Greer's a grifter or whatever, right? And all the negative stuff people say. We need powerful allies like Dr. Greer, right? We need people like him who have the connections, who can get the information in front of other people. And not just that, I think that what we've been exposing, what we've been showing and discovering and revealing is 100% consistent with what Dr. Greer has been talking about. It actually surprises me. I think I've been clear in the past that I wasn't sure about Dr. Greer before all of this investigation. And as the investigation has proceeded, we've realized we're talking about the same exact stuff that he's talking about, from a scientific perspective at least. We saw him on Sean Ryan. We've seen his documentaries. We've seen him talk about how a lot of these UAPs or UFOs are our technology. We've seen him talking about teleportation. We've seen him talking about over unity devices, free energy. I'm just sitting here going, I mean, dude's got it. He's directly got it. It even makes me wonder about Ambassador Bijou from the Andromeda Galaxy, because I'm going, he's right about, he's saying the exact same stuff as us about everything else. Everything else. So, you know, maybe they are visiting. I don't know. Like, the reality is he definitely has seen some stuff. He's seen some stuff that has changed his worldview on everything, right? That's the truth of Dr. Greer. He's seen some stuff that's changed his view of everything. He's mentioned orbs, teleportation. He was on Kim Iverson. When I went on Kim Iverson, she was telling me that he's saying the same stuff that we were saying. She's like, have you watched my interview with Stephen Greer? I'm like, okay, I'll watch it. I watch it. It's like, yeah, okay. He's saying all the same stuff. So, and the part that's compelling is that we came to the same conclusion independently. The conclusion that we came to is exactly the same as Dr. Greer from an independent perspective. I do not think that Dr. Greer is a grifter. I think that he's been getting discredited by the same people who call us a grifter. It's a matter of disinformation, right? He saw information, is revealing information that people don't want to be credible. They want to make him non-credible, right? And then, you know, the other interesting thing is this, guys. He's not really aligned with these other UFO personalities, right? Like, Dr. Greer is not aligned with Jeremy Corbell. You've got Dr. Greer. You've got Jeremy Corbell. You've got David Grush, who's kind of in the middle. And then you've got the Lou Elizondos, who's 100% government, total government guy, right? And Chris Mellon is over there with Lou Elizondo for sure, no doubt whatsoever. You've also got Hal Puthoff, who we were talking about. And I don't know where Hal Puthoff's motivations lie, but he's definitely in there with the Tom DeLonge, the Chris Mellon, the Lou Elizondo, right? They made this To the Stars Academy together. So the real question is, what is everyone's motivations? I think that they all have their own motivations and their own intentions, and they are probably somewhat aligned, but a little bit different. But Dr. Greer is over here completely separate from all the rest of those guys, right? He's out there doing things, testifying in front of Congress about all the stuff that he's seen, that he's known, having these people like Michael Herrera come on. I would say that the biggest strike against Dr. Greer is that he's been guilty of the thing that I mentioned at the beginning of this stream tonight. If he just focused on the technology, I think that he would be held in much higher regard and considered by a broader range of people. But because he focuses so much about the alien species that are visiting us and what their intentions are and the interdimensional aspects of the non-human intelligence and the consciousness aspect, it moves too far into the woo. It might even be true. I don't know. But if he just focused on the technology side of it, I think that he would be a lot, people would think of him as a lot more credible, or let's say that it'd be a broader range of people would consider him credible, let's say. So our appeal to Dr. Greer is going to be mostly based on the technology. I'm not going to appeal too much about the case of the plane, but I do want to mention the plane, because the reality is, guys, we're doing this for the families of the victims. The families have got no answers whatsoever. That's why we're doing it. But what comes along with that is the technology, and that's how we reach Dr. Greer, the technology. I'm going to make some notes real quick. Now, what are we gonna talk about with respect to the technology? Now, the thing that I think we need to do, and here's the other thing, is that Dr. Greer, what we realized from the Sean Ryan podcast with him, is that he has not taken the liberty of himself to understand the science. Instead, he goes the route of finding the witnesses. The people like the Mike Herreras, right? He finds those people and has those people speak. What my approach has been is to try to understand the science myself. So that if I'm on Sean Ryan, I don't have to say, oh, over unity is possible, teleportation possible, and it's just based on the double slit experiment. I want to be able to explain it in a level where I can quote the scientists and the people that have come before, the Maxwells, the Poynting vectors, even Max Planck. I'm trying to think of all the other scientists right off the top of my head. Obviously, I'm not that great at it, but I want to try to be able to do that because I think that that's the only way where we're going to be able to reach a lot of the normie people. One thing I've learned as well is that a lot of people don't want to go down the scientific route, right? It's too complicated, they think. They think it's not possible for a normal person to learn it. That is not true. Every single person watching this stream and listening to this stream right now has the ability to become a scientist on the same level as all of these people who are the famous scientists, the ones that are currently out there as contractors. If I can do it, you guys can do it, and I believe that I can do it as well. It's just a matter of applying yourself and learning it in a way that is conducive to how you learn. Yeah, I think that we can do this. And so that's the reason why I think it's super important. So that's how we're going to follow this. Now, guys, I need to step away for just a couple minutes so that I can grab a coffee and some water. So it's like 5 minutes to the top of the hour, guys. Go ahead and chat about whatever you think we need to add in terms of concepts. If you have any of them, I'll come read these messages in a few minutes. I'm going to grab water. I'm going to grab a quick coffee. I'll be right back here in less than 5 minutes. Okay, chat. Sorry about that. I'm back. Okay. I've got some ideas here. While I was getting coffee, I was thinking about it. I need to write these down before I forget. It's going to be related to what we asked yesterday. What is disclosure? Okay, let's talk through this a little bit, guys. Let's see what we got. We got some coffee, late night coffee. Oof, not gonna be sleeping tonight. Yeah, whether or not CE5 is real, I don't know. I would say though that going the CE5 route, as Dr. Greer has done, has probably taken away a little bit from some of his credibility with a wider range of people. I mean, look at the Eric Weinsteins of the world, right? Like, Eric Weinstein's not even open to the idea of superluminal travel. And you're talking about consciousness and summoning interdimensional aliens. You're never going to reach people like that, right? Dorian, what? Cracking me up, bud. Whoa, that's a rude message. John, come on, John. We can be above that, John. Yep, he's drinking coffee. It's late. I gotta get in the right mindset for this, chat. Caffeine doesn't really keep me awake, though, guys. It'll keep me awake for like an hour, and then I'll crash hard. Okay, let's see what we got here. Yeah, guys. Okay, whoever watched The Lost Century, what aspects of The Lost Century documentary do you think were the most important? And William, we're gonna science stuff I have listed down here. We're gonna talk about that probably tomorrow. I don't think we're gonna get to it tonight. Fortunately, there's a lot of topics to go over, and we don't have time to go over all of them tonight. So science is probably gonna be tomorrow. Uh-oh, guys. Let's see if the agents, let's see if ScarJo's messaging me. Guys, where's our ScarJo? CIA, man, have they not cloned ScarJo yet? Did you guys notice that that one Nico contractor that was talking about teleportation also mentioned cloning? Guys, where are the ScarJo clones? Where are they at? Hey, WP Genlight, appreciate you, man. I was watching some of your videos the other night. Get some pretty good videos on your YouTube channel. Yeah, I would say that what I am is an ambassador for disclosure. Is advocate the right word? Sorry, I'm just thinking here. Thinking about how to frame this letter here. Okay, so my name is Ashwin Forbes, and I'm an advocate for disclosure. A lot of people believe various negative things about Dr. Greer, but I am not one of them. I believe he is an honest man whose opinion is based on information he has personally seen being close to powerful entities for decades. I am writing this letter to him because intermediaries have told me that he may be interested in what I have to say about evidence of advanced technology kept hidden from the public. I think that's a pretty good starter, right? So we start there. Here's some of the key aspects that we need to talk about in this letter, okay? What is disclosure? Everybody in the chat, I want you to think about what is disclosure for you. Is disclosure aliens? Is disclosure crafts that can travel between the stars so that you could go to another planet? Is disclosure the technology that can change our world? For me, disclosure is the technology that will change our world. To answer the question that Nomo Pomo put in the chat, didn't Ashton already talk to Greer? Yes, I did. I talked to him on a space and I asked a question. I think we may even bring that up as well. I don't think I'm going to evoke Kim.com, but the thing is, Kim.com in a space, I asked Dr. Greer the question of, can this technology, maybe not maybe you don't even need that. Maybe you don't even need this part. Maybe that's just, we don't even need to mention that. Good call. Whoever said that. Wesley, appreciate you. I agree. We don't need all that. Let's keep it high and tight. I asked him, can this technology lead to doomsday weapons? That's what I asked Dr. Greer on the space. I didn't need to ask more questions because the reality is he answered almost all the rest of my questions from either other people or just stuff that he said. But one of the other big ones was what Kim.com and him got in an argument over. Kim.com argued, why won't the aliens just give us the cure for cancer? Why don't they put it on the blockchain or whatever else, right? Somewhere on the web. Because it's not that easy, guys. Remember, if you guys were watching the stream last night, you know what I asked to Jesse Michaels. I said, what is disclosure and how do we get the technology out without revealing the doomsday weapons? I don't know that there is a way. It's a Pandora's box. The moment you show there's a unification theory of quantum and macro and that inertial mass reduction is possible, now you've opened the door to weapons that make our current arsenal of publicly available weapons look like little toys. There's no closing that box once you've opened it up. The moment you've told the world that we can achieve technology that's essentially magic, the terrorists are going to figure out how to make the weapons with or without us. Ellie, hi and tight. Did Ashton just disclose his dream girl persona? It's kind of an ongoing joke, the Scar Joe clone. I don't know if you were here for the beginning of that joke, Ellie. I said that one of the ways to get me to shut up is the CIA makes a Scar Joe clone. You know, an intelligent, confident woman who's talented and good looking, all those things. Yeah, that's my weakness, chat. That's my weakness. Here's one other thing, guys, that I want to mention. I think I talked about it last night. You'll see this a lot. Especially in the conspiracy communities, you will see people talk about controlled opposition, and people that are, you know, disinformation and that kind of thing. Reality is, I think everybody's a little bit compromised. Everybody has a price. And for the most part, people are doing what they think in their mind is noble and just. That's the thing that's tough and that we have to realize, right? It's not, any individual person is not good or bad. Everybody is following the beat of their own drum. And they're going to, you know, they're going to be people that are going to be diametrically opposed to one another, that are both in their own minds, in their own frames of reference, the main character who's doing the right thing and is on the side of good. That's the truth of it. So this is the reason why I am not attacking people personally and directly, unless they come after me directly. And that's just the nature of the kind of guy I am. But, you know, it's no point. Because I think that everybody thinks that they're the good guy. So it's no point in me trying to battle against all these other different people that are out there. And this is the criticism that I would respectfully tell Jeremy Reese about, who I think Jeremy Reese is a guy that absolutely wants to get to the truth, no doubt, alien scientist. But the way that he just constantly attacks everybody, just it takes away from his message, right? You want to make it about what your message is and not about tearing down the people that you think are not doing what you want them to do. Right? That's the hard part. It's hard. That's a hard lesson, even for us, right? We've got a lot of people out there that are, detractors, that are literally telling podcasters not to talk to us, like going so far as not just to ignore us, but like to actively tell people lies about us and tell people not to talk to us. Right? Jeremy tears down Jeremy Corbell all the time, Bob Lazar, George Knapp. Today I saw him trying to tear down Tucker Carlson and someone else as well, where it's like you don't need to do all that, right? Just do your own investigation and let your evidence stand for it. He's doing really great investigative work from the scientific standpoint. He has amazing people on his shows. Jeremy does, right? I love going on there talking with them, even though I've had people tell me I should be careful about going on his stuff as well. Reality is, chat, I talk to whoever the hell I want to talk to. That's the truth. And I'm not afraid of talking to anybody about any of this stuff, no matter what people say about them. That's the kind of person that I am. And that's why I don't care about what people will say about me if I align myself with Dr. Greer or Jake Chansley or Jeremy Reese or anybody else that's out there, right? Because I have no enemies. What do I mean when I say that? When I say I have no enemies, I mean that I believe in a non-confrontational type of disclosure. I mean that even the Lou Elizondos of the world, I would like for Lou Elizondo to unblock us. Because the reality is I think he's doing what he thinks is the right thing in his own mind, is the just thing. Slow disclosure. I 100% believe that that Lou Elizondo is, a pawn, let's say. Maybe that's not the right thing to say. Let's call him a knight. He's a knight for the government to advocate for a slow disclosure process that will wake people up. And that's noble that he's doing that. It's not the approach that I'm going to take, but I think it's noble that he's doing that. And I have nothing against him. Nothing against him at all. I wish his trolls would stop attacking me, but I have nothing against him personally. Jeremy Corbell, right? He wants to show weird alien videos or whatever, right? Disclose that kind of stuff. He wants to be a weapon as well that's getting classified videos unclassified and out there into the public. I'm almost 100% sure that he is being given videos by the government that they are ready to disclose, because otherwise people would be going to jail for the stuff that he'd be doing. And this is the reason why we only see the videos that are not that anomalous, right? It's a slow drip disclosure process. That's fine. And if he wants to make a living off of it or whatever and sell his whole thing up, I'm going to switch over to full screen face for just a second. If Jeremy Corbell wants to make a living off of it with this weaponized podcast and all that, you know what? Great as well. You know what? We live in a capitalist society. You should be able to do that if you want to do that. Everybody's got to eat. That's the reality of it. I have nothing against him as well. I wish that he would look at our situation as well and, look to see if this is something that can achieve a disclosure. Now, if he's on the side of slow drip disclosure, then I can see why he would not be able to report on what we're doing, because ours is not slow drip disclosure. Ours is catastrophic. When you are talking about the disclosure of teleporting a plane, you're talking about there's no going back to that. The moment you admit we can teleport a 777, everything's coming out, right? So all the technology is coming out. If you can teleport a plane, then again, like stuff we've talked about, remote controlling airplanes is child's play. Force fields, cloaking, all this other stuff is on the table. Aliens visiting us from Andromeda galaxies on the table. Like, it's all on the table, chat. So, let's think about what are the stuff here. So, I think the only thing I want to mention about the MH370 case is maybe a slight bit of background related to our intentions about it. And then I think we talk about what disclosure means for us, which is the advanced technology side. I think it's important we talk about how our approach of understanding the science. I think we probably have to explain why we think that the science is important that we're seeing here. trying to think if this message will reach him in a way that will resonate with him. Yeah, disclosure is a concept bigger than we can imagine. Who sleeps on sofas? And who's hating on people that sleeps on sofas? Guys, I've slept on some sofas before. It's no big deal. Hizzy, don't troll, man. I feel like the Redditors are starting to get unhinged here again, guys. There was actually, speaking of Reddit real quick, there was quite a few actual posts that weren't total garbage in the last couple days. Okay, we're going to give you a 30-minute timeout. Let's see. So we may highlight some of those as well. But I also don't want to focus on the debunk stuff and the negative aspects of the social media stuff and the people that are, you know, kind of like have some weird coordinated campaign against us. I prefer not to talk about that stuff in general. It's just not productive. So we're going to not be doing as much, or the stuff where we do the troll hunt and stuff. That stuff's fun, whatever, the sad music. I do like doing that, but I don't think we are going to, we're not going to be doing that every day. Sean, that's a little over the top. A little over the top. We have a subreddit out there called 3 Orbs, where I'm a moderator. Somebody else started it up. Originally had nothing really to do with me, but they invited me as a moderator. It's a private subreddit. You can ask for permission if you want to join. If I am reviewing, I'm going to look through your post history, though. Just to see, because there's not going to be any of the weird debunker people. We had one of the people that had the subject matter expert title in the debunker subreddit ask if they could join the Discord. I said no. If you have a subject matter expert title, one of those fake subject matter expert titles on the debunker subreddit, you have no chance of joining my Discord. That's ego. People try to say that we're narcissistic or egotistical. Like, no. Egotistical and narcissistic is having a fake flair of subject matter expert. They only give it to the people who are like the most out there in terms of their weird views. Like that lawyer guy we were talking about the other day, who like bases all his opinions off ChatGPT and whatever people he pays to tell him what to think. It's weird. Okay, I think it's time to start typing. Yeah, so Jack Trading, I would respectfully tell, I'm not banning you or anything like this, but what I would say is that we need a change as well. Early on in this investigation, I realized it's not a matter of changing other people's opinions only. It's a matter of us changing our own opinions. And this is where I've come to learn from people like Jake Chansley. We have to look at other people out there, and we have to realize that our opinions have been tainted by disinformation in a confirmatory bias standpoint as well. Right? Even I was fed into some of the negative aspects that were being told about Dr. Stephen Greer, because it's easy to put up disinformation and fall into it, right? But the reality is, so what? If people want to go out to Joshua Tree and go summon beings, who cares, man? It's their money. It's their lives. Let them do whatever they want to do. It doesn't take away from the other stuff that he mentions regarding the technology. You know what? I like the generation that I'm from, because I'm old enough. I'm still young enough that I don't have full CNN brain, but I'm also old enough that I've seen all of social media from its inception to where it is now. And I've seen when it's been good, and I've seen when it's been bad. And on the after show yesterday that we had after the space, we had an after space. And I told Keemstar this as well, as I told him that I think that he and I are in some aspects kindred spirits because we both grew up in the social media age. And so we know the kind of toxicity, gaslighting, trolling, and it doesn't really phase us. Like both of us have the same kind of like just shields to it in general. He's better than I am because he's more quick-witted. And that's what I think is just I find hilarious about him is how he can just flip it back on people so quickly. And for me, it's more of a situation where people can troll me all day, and you know, I maybe they can get me worked up. It's really, really hard. But either way, I wake up the next morning and it's whatever. I forgot about it. For a lot of people, the trolling and stuff wears on them because if you're the type of person that cares about what other people think of you, then all these negative messages that come to you can really wear down your psyche. But I'm not the kind of person that cares at all about what people think of me. Not even a little bit. Everybody in the world could hate me and it wouldn't change my persona even one tiny bit. Okay, here we go. Okay, we're gonna start typing chat. So you can ask questions. I'll respond in a little kind of as I'm going here. But I'm gonna be doing a little bit heads down typing here. I want to get your guys' opinion on some of this. Now the point is we want to skirt the line here between we don't want to be simping too hard, but we do want to try to reach people. It's a very fine line between the cringe and pushing it over the top. There's going to be an aspect of cringeness to any letter like this because you have to try to reach people emotionally. But at the same time, you don't want it to be too dramatic and too gushy, you know. You just want to focus on the points that matter. Got it? Okay. Okay, and then we may move the paragraphs around here a little bit. I'm just going to let the ideas flow real quick. Oh, there's a different paragraph I want to write here as well. You've got mail. It's 3_orbs. That's the subreddit, guys. Is it okay to say gravity is not a force? I would say, I don't know. I don't know what gravity is the answer. I would say that gravity is a property of nature, but that we can manipulate it. Probably is how I would describe it right now. We're almost certainly going to move these around. Yeah, Alex, a unified theory seeks to unify the four identified forces. More recently, quantum and macro has been brought into that equation. Yeah, it's correct. The Dr. Greer space was back on December 15th or 16th. I don't remember which. Somewhere around there. If you go back, you'll be able to find the link to it if you want to listen to it. I have not heard of anti-bubbles, but on our science list is cavitation and star in a jar, which we're going to look at once again because we're going to dig back into the thunderstorm generator. We may even do a separate piece on thunderstorm generator. The orbs are the Epstein technology. How come everything's getting linked to Epstein, guys? I'll read out this out loud for the people who are just listening along, and it's kind of boring. No, I think the question is, what is disclosure, right? So that's what we're getting at now. Then I think the next paragraph, and we'll work on these paragraphs, is I think what the technology shows. So we do what the technology can change the world is, how do we achieve technology without destroying ourselves, and the Pandora's box. I think that's really what our thing is here, right? I don't like this. That's my motivation part. It's too over the top. Let's say okay, dash. Now I'm thinking about this. I destroyed you on my podcast, man. Yeah, great destruction. Somebody actually posted the Concrete podcast, like the names of the podcast, and it's like you got all these people talking about psychic powers and stuff like that, and they've got all these like, oh, this person summons UFOs and all this stuff, and in their mind it's like, guy gets exposed, blah blah blah. It's like so contrary to every other thing that he's put out there. It's bizarre, man. The reality is, like, people like Danny Jones and the other people who've come out against us, they have skin in the game now, right? Because the reality is, if these videos end up being real, those people's whole careers are destroyed. They'll never live it down for the rest of their lives. For the rest of their lives, people will be telling them, you attacked a guy who is trying to give you actual true disclosure, and you were wrong about it. And you were confidently wrong about it. And you didn't do that with anybody else ever on your podcast. And the only person that actually has told the truth to you and had verifiable information, you tried to attack them, right? And the reality is, for people like Danny Jones, the Mick Wests of the world, they should have skin in the game. Because absolutely, if these videos end up being real, their career should be destroyed. 100% should be destroyed. It's not, I don't mean that in a vindictive way. I just mean that in a way where if you're the kind of person that's going to confidently come out and try to poo-poo on multiple videos and 19 witnesses and 14 pages of evidence to present a story for what actually happened to a plane that nobody knows what happened to it, that had 239 people on board, you deserve to have your career destroyed if you end up being wrong. Why would you come out so harshly against something like that where someone's just trying to find the truth? That's really bizarre. And I've said this before. Poo-pooing on the idea of aliens or some UFOs or something like that that's out there is one thing, right? It's harmless. Saying, oh, these flying objects out there are silly, that's pretty harmless, right? Poo-pooing on, I don't know how many family members there are for 239 people on board a plane, where the official narrative is they don't know what happened to it, and trying to cast doubt on what might be the true fate of that plane, that actually rises the level of criminal conspiracy. So the reality there is that people should think very, very carefully about what their opinions are and what they want to put out there into the world, because it can theoretically come back at you. Now, it's so because of the stances that those people have taken, right? Even like what we've mentioned about Jonas as well. If you want to get an anonymous email and then decide that you're going to come out super hard against these videos and all this evidence, you better be damn sure you're correct. Because if you're not, you've put a huge amount of legal liability directly on yourself. If those videos end up becoming true, your career is over. Your career is over. You now have skin in the game. Now you are invested in those videos being fake. Because those videos end up being true, and that's no one's gonna ever let you live it down. Simple as that. That's just the truth, guys. So again, heed the warning, man. Heed the warning. Right? I'm just telling you the truth, man. And this is what people hate. People hate hearing the truth. They hate hearing the truth. They want a comfortable lie. That's not what you're going to get from me. You're going to get the truth. A lot of people argue with me and they get angry at me and they get angry at the things that I say because they think it's egotistical, but I'm just telling them the honest truth. And then later on, they end up finding out, yep, he was just telling me the truth. Do they ever really admit it? No. And that's fine. I'm not looking for apologies. But, I hope people end up learning their lesson at some point. But again, everybody's free to make mistakes in this world and, do whatever you guys want to do. But, I'm just giving you guys the same wisdom and advice that I've given the podcasters who've attacked me. This is funny. Like, after I think I've told you guys this story, but especially the interview with Julian Dory afterwards, he's sitting there raging about how the right-wing Rumble people are, and he never wants to go on Rumble because he doesn't respect any of the right-wing Rumble people, right? And he's raging at his producer about it. And I'm going, man, like I kind of agree with the producer. Like it's a bigger audience, you should try to reach it. And this is when I knew that I had already known that Julian was full Reddit brain, CNN brain, whatever, right? And he's in there raging all the right-wing Rumble people. And I just tell him, and he's so concerned about what people will think of him if he posts his content on Rumble, because he cares so much about what the CNN brain and all the feds that he has on his show think of him, right? And I said, I'm going to give you some unsolicited advice. Don't care about what people think of you. That's the advice. Don't care about what people think of you. People resonate with people who are honest and truthful, right? If you're out there and you come out with bias and you have, you're letting your views be tainted about what people think of you, that's going to come across as insincere. And that's exactly what happened, right? And he made it worse on himself because he doubled down, right? That, when I told him that, it just made him more angry, made him more silly. You know, when I told him too about that I was going to come out against the false things that he said, he doubled down on that as well. And then he, came out harshly with a bunch of defamatory and false claims about me. He put that weird video out where he defamed me even further, which were huge. He just kept making more and more mistakes, right? Because he was like one of these like confident, like spoon-fed, like loser kids who's never been told no in their life, right? Like grew up probably in a home where he was rich and his family never told him no, you know? And like it's so pathetic when you meet people like that, right? And they just keep like destroying themselves and imploding instead of just listening to the advice, right, that they should have taken from the beginning. And that's why then he embarrassed himself on the stream and on the space with us even further. Just kept imploding and imploding. And I kept just giving him honest advice, which is he should probably just delete his podcast with me that makes him look terrible, right? And he's like, oh, you want to get it deleted? And I'm like, dude, if you think that podcast makes you look good, keep it up, man. He was the one profiting off of it while he was trying to say that I was profiting off of it as well. And I'm like, you can't be any more hypocritical or a worse liar. And then, of course, he silently removes it, right? And doesn't say anything about it. Just deletes it. And I told him he should probably talk to his lawyers, right? Parrish, the reason why I'm condescending is you deserve to be condescended too, Parrish. I've seen you in the replies, Parrish B. You absolutely need to be condescended to a little bit. It's not me that's arrogant. It's you that's arrogant. And that's the sad part, right? You don't realize it's your own arrogance that is leading you to be condescended. The truth hurts, man. The truth does not make you feel comfortable. This is the thing that Redditors need to come to terms with. Your worldview is not reality. Once you've accepted that, you will stop being so angry at people telling you the truth. I find it so consistently. People get so angry at being told the truth, right? And then they double down as opposed to just rethinking of their own opinions might be incorrect. They double down. And then they get more angry, and then they implode. And we see it happen time and time and time again, right? Parrish, I'm going to give you a timeout for 30 minutes, man. You can come back in a little bit. And what I'm going to say is I suggest strongly for people like Parrish B and the other CNN brains and Reddit brains that are out there, think about your own actions. Think about the messages that you put out there. Consider that you might not be right about everything in the world, right? Exactly. Being told the truth does not mean you're being spoken down to. But the reality is some people do need to be condescended a little bit, right? In certain cases, people really just don't seem to be willing to consider that they might not know everything there is. And, you know, those are the people we call the CNN brains and the Reddit brains. I think that if you've been watching me and the live streams and the investigation, you'll realize firsthand that I never claim to know everything. And I'm honest about the stuff that I know and that I don't know. And I think that upsets people, right? Because for a lot of people, if you do not go with the herd, then they think that you are being arrogant or narcissistic. And that's not the truth. That's not how any of that works. Not agreeing with the herd does not make somebody any of those things. Not at all. That's not how it works. Because for a lot of people, it's not about what you tell them and it's about how you tell them, right? That's the hard part for a lot of people. It's not about what you tell them. It's about how you tell them. And that's why we call it, on Reddit, they call it the post-truth world that we've achieved, right? We're in a post-truth world now. Anyway, I want to get back to this letter here, guys, so I don't want to get too sidetracked with the chat at the moment. The last thing I'll say is that I don't fully go with either side or anything like that at all, right? I think that there's people in the conspiracy angles that take it too far, that try to link everything together. I think that there's people in, the people that think that nothing can be real, that we would call the skeptics or whatever, that they take it too far as well. Is that one thing that my father told me is that everything you should take in moderation. You really should question everything on either side. The answer is generally going to be somewhere in the middle, right? And that generally makes you an enemy of everybody. Okay. Let's give him a 30-minute timeout. Let's do Greer stuff here, guys. The goal of the letter, that's finally we're back onto the topic. What's the goal of the letter? I want to tell Greer about the technology that we think we've uncovered that's consistent with his technology, right? So we talk about this. I'm going to probably add to a little bit to this. Let's try to get this done because I don't want to be up all night doing this, guys. We're going to add something about the families here. I'm going to say something like, that's maybe a little over the top, but we're going to go with that for a second. Once I finish one or two more paragraphs, hey, Diamond, how's it going, man? Appreciate you, bud. Diamond, I've been seeing a lot of your posts out there. I appreciate the stuff that you've been doing. This is going to be one where I'm going to be a little bit more quiet because I'm working on a letter right now, but you can check out, I've been opining on lots of stuff for the last hour and a half. I didn't think we'd be alive or online this long. I was hoping this would only be an hour-long stream, but we've been going hard. So I appreciate that advice, Diamond. Also, I appreciate a lot of the stuff that you've been posting out there. Check out Diamond's Oppenheimer Ranch, as well as the magnetic resonance. Diamond, you can plug your channel if you want, man. Magnetic, I don't remember off the top of my head. But he's a good guy who is a truth seeker for sure that's out there, that's constantly broaching topics that make people feel uncomfortable, but he may actually be the person that I've talked to on any podcast that I feel is most connected with respect to the conspiracy community and the potential for advanced technology that's out there. That's the truth. When I'm talking with Diamond, I feel like I'm talking to somebody who's in the know. And he's done a ton of research around this kind of stuff for probably decades longer than I have been. I mean, I'm fresh into this stuff, right? It's been a journey. So the next paragraph is going to be about the technology and the implications of it. I'm just trying to think of how we approach this. I think it's a matter of how to, okay, so we need to align the technology that Dr. Greer says exists with the technology that we've been revealing. I'm going to say I've independently yeah, Diamond, I think if you watch the earlier part of the stream, I talked about how I think that one aspect of the investigation is learning that we have to push some of our own biases aside. Now, and for that reason, I try not to make enemies out of anybody, because I think that everybody can be part of, can assist, right? In terms of revealing this type of stuff to the world. The more doors we close, the more difficult it will be to reveal this stuff. So even with people that I think that they think that, they're, with working with the government or whatever, and we were talking about all of them earlier. There's different factions. I think that everybody has their own concept of what's a just motivation and what they're trying to achieve. And the reason why I'm writing this, as you see in my top here, I'll go through this in a second, but we're not going to close the door to anybody out there, especially somebody as well connected as Dr. Greer is. And I think that I don't agree with everything that he's been saying, but I do think that he's right about the technology that's out there, for sure. That's my opinion. And so that's the level I'm trying to connect with him on, is the technology. So that's why this next paragraph is going to be about the technology, and then I want to talk about the implications of disclosure, and then I want to close out this particular letter. I don't want it to be too long. I do think that he's a smart guy, regardless of what people think about him. Yeah, Diamond, I can understand how you definitely would think that's too hard to believe. I kind of think it is as well. Some of the stuff I think is hard to believe. But keep in mind, look at it like this, Diamond, in terms of, Diamond says, okay, well, that his peeps claim, basically he's claiming that there's, people that have been on Mars for 50 years. Dr. Greer also claims there's ambassadors from, Andromeda Galaxy. A lot of this stuff is pretty hard to believe, right? But keep in mind that he's basing his opinions off information that he's been shown, right? His own opinions. So it's possible that he's also basing some of his opinions on some stuff that's disinformation or what have you as well. But I think the underlying framework for the science that he's been shown is true. And if you really think that you can teleport a plane, it does kind of open the door up to some of that stuff. Now, I'm keeping my skeptic hat on with respect to a lot of that. But with respect to the science, I think Dr. Greer is a guy that can help us get the message out. Right? For sure. For sure. Okay, room temperature superconductivity over unity. Maybe we just go with those three. And superluminal relativistic. I like superluminal relativistic speeds. Relativistic speeds. superluminal relativistic travel. And man, there's a lot of different words for it, right? Like a lot of it is the terminology, right? Like transdimensional travel, wormholes. Like it's all talking about the same thing. And again, science is a matter of the scientific method and then describing what we see in actual reality. So when we watch these videos, and this is the one we're going to pin to this, I think the most important video is the thermal video. First of all, it's the least debunked of the two of them. There's no matching cloud images on this one. But also when we see this event here happen, I mean, look at this. This looks pretty damn real. But this is the one where you see all the details, right? Oh, the gravity engines. Maybe we have to include that because we see these. Well, this part right here, look at that. This is wild, man. You see the gravity engines? Over unity, gravity manipulation. Superluminal relative. Yeah, I like that. Gravity manipulation. We definitely need to include that. I'll read this all out here in a second. I just need to let my thoughts go. Wall created. Okay. Geodesic path. Okay, I think we're gonna read this out. Let me know what you guys think. Yeah, Diamond, we can do another show as well. I always like talking to you, man. I'm getting better at the science and the lore and all the stuff in the conspiracy world and the UFO world as well. And I like talking with you about this stuff. So my horizons are getting broadened a little bit here and there. Okay, so far here's what I've got. Let's see how this sounds so far. We only need like a couple more paragraphs. I don't want this to be super long, right? A letter to Dr. Stephen Greer. My name is Ashton Forbes, and I'm an advocate for disclosure. I believe Dr. Greer is an honest man whose opinion is based on information he has personally seen being close to powerful entities for decades. That's where I'm kind of leaving it open-ended, right? Because people are going to say, oh, he's a grifter, or other people are going to say, no, he's spewing the truth, right? But reality is, my view is somewhere in the middle, where I think that maybe some of it is true and other of it is maybe not, but I'm keeping my open mind. My opinion of him, though, is that he's saying what he believes. I've sat in spaces with him. I've asked him questions. My opinion of how I've judged him is to be an honest person. I'm writing this letter to him because intermediaries have told me that he may be interested in what I have to say about evidence of advanced technology kept hidden from the public. We probably are also going to mention the Lockheed Martin connection. Yeah, we need to mention that as well. I'm going to write this down before. Coherence. Okay, let's keep going. Disclosure means different things for different people. For some, disclosure means not. We don't even maybe even need this disclosure paragraph. For some, it means non-human intelligence. For others, it means in crash retrievals. For me, true disclosure is revealing technologies that can help change the circumstances of millions, if not billions, of people for the better. We might even just incorporate this into other paragraphs. I've been a citizen journalist. I'm actually going to pull this down, I think. I don't think we even need this paragraph. I've been a citizen journalist for the Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 case for the last 6 months. The investigation began with 2 videos that are filmed by United States military assets from 2 different perspectives that are in perfect synchronization, showing a 777 being surrounded by 3 orbs and disappearing in a singularity. While seeking the truth for the families of the victims of the plane is my highest priority, the technology revealed can change the course of our entire civilization. I've independently learned through the course of the investigation that the advanced technology hidden from us includes such things as room temperature superconductivity, over unity, gravity manipulation, and superluminal relativistic travel. The MH370 videos show orbs with a non-radiating barrier, displacing them from space-time, allowing them to float freely while creating their own geodesic path. I may even say... we see a 120-degree sinusoidal pattern with clear purpose before the plane gets phased out by an induced singularity when the orbs converge in the plane in the final moments. Trying to think if we evoke Salvatore Pais and Bob Greenyer here. I think what we say is these findings imply a unification theory of quantum and mechanics and general relativity These findings imply a unification theory of quantum mechanics and general relativity has already been discovered. My investigation has found evidence that this technology is connected to third-party contractors such as Lockheed Martin, who has patents such as coherent matter wave beam that can enable the superconductivity required to phase out the plane in the videos. I believe special access programs are how the government hides this technology and why Congress is unable to learn about its existence. Right? Something like that. Okay, what do we got going on in the chat? Could be Nazi stuff. Oh, I don't think I mentioned, somebody yesterday was asking about my opinion on Antarctica. It wouldn't surprise me if there was some shadiness going on in Antarctica. Anytime that you find that the public's not allowed to go somewhere, I think that there's got to be a reason for that. So I think that there's definitely the possibility that Antarctica's got something going on there. I don't know, right? We need more evidence. Even just people's coming out and saying stuff isn't enough. We need hard evidence to come along with it. Yeah, maybe we don't even need room temperature superconductivity. Another way to put it is high temperature superconductivity. It doesn't even need to be room temperature. Just a journalist. I like citizen journalist. I like the James O'Keefe style of it, right? In a way, people hate James O'Keefe, but in a way, I feel like I've taken a similar path where I'm just a self-proclaimed journalist, right? I'm just following the stuff that the stuff that I want to do, right? And that titles are titles. You can call me whatever you want. I'm certainly not, aligned with any media entities or anything like that. I just do what I want to do. Look at the things I want to look at. Okay, we have to write a couple other paragraphs and then we'll flesh this out a little bit. Let's say when we spoke, I'm going to call it Twitter. So when we spoke on Twitter back in December, I asked you if this technology has the capability to be turned into a weapon, and you agreed that it can be. My biggest hesitation, my largest, trying to think about how to phrase this. I can see this is gonna end up going a little bit later than I was hoping for. Guess we won't be playing any Pal World tonight, chat. Okay. I'm not sure how we can reveal the foundation for this technology without opening Pandora's box. My concern is that this technology is so advanced that we may destroy ourselves, and I believe that this is the reason. It is kept secret in the interest of national security. And this is where I think, let's see, Okay, I think that we kind of can close it out after this paragraph with one more, right? We just want to entice Greer in with what we're promoting and what it means and what our intentions are, right? As honest as we can. Oh, you Oppenheimer or Diamond, you think the Antarctica stuff is bullshit? Can you elaborate on that? Why do you think that? I honestly don't know. I'm curious. I want to know what your opinion is while I finish this next paragraph. And then, guys, what are your guys' opinions on what I've been putting in so far? I'm not seeing a lot of opinions about what I'm typing here. But I also want to know what your guys' opinions are on the Antarctica stuff. We're almost done here. I would like to become an ambassador for disclosure of advanced technology that can change the circumstances of billions of people on the planet. Yeah, James is awesome. James O'Keefe is who Diamond's talking about, because he actually just gets people to tell the truth, right? The unfiltered, raw truth. That's what I love about him. And I used to be somebody that thought that James O'Keefe was, one of these people that was dishonestly editing videos or whatever. But the reality is he just tells people the truth they don't want to hear, right? From the horse's mouth. Whether or not those people that are saying that truth are, they're just saying their own opinions, right? And so you have to look at it through that lens, but he gets people's unvarnished opinions. I love sting journalism. Sting journalism, we need more sting journalism. Hey, Gray Owl, how's it going? Take the first sentence of the second paragraph and put it in the first paragraph where the content is similar. Yeah, probably. Think put it up here? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think you're right. That's probably a better way to put it. Good call. Who is my Alex? Thank you. On my editor, Alex, in the chat. Appreciate you on that. Am I taking a crack at the smoking hot alien space babes? Nah, I'm not trying to clap those alien cheeks. I'm trying to get my ScarJo clones. The CIA is not listening to me. They still haven't reached out to me. They still haven't reached out to me to tell me to stop. But if we believe what Amy says, if they don't tell you to stop, then they're giving you tacit approval to keep going, chat. I probably need to rephrase this. I am at a crossroads where I am a patriot who does not want to harm my country's military advantage. But I also want to reveal the truth about the missing plane, which had 239 people on board. Let's say, maybe, I don't know about this whole paragraph, maybe. I think maybe that's the way to do it. Let's go back to this paragraph. My investigation has found evidence that the technology is connected to third-party contractors such as Lockheed Martin, patents, commander wave beam, blah, blah, blah. I believe special access programs are how the government hides this technology from its citizens and why Congress is unable to learn about its existence. This is kind of doesn't really flow here. Yeah, I want to make it short. I think we're closing it, the letter up here pretty soon. Yeah, Tim, read. If you go back a little bit, you'll hear my stuff. Like, I think that there's a lot of people out there that will say stuff like, you know, I always think of the Game of Thrones statement where they say it is known. It is known, right? That is the same terminology that people have who have really closed minds. It's like people that just want to be told what's true are the type of people that say, oh, it is known. Isn't it known that so-and-so is a grifter? Isn't it known that Punjabi Batman is a LARPer? That's the kind of people that are basing their opinions on what other people have told them, as opposed to coming to their own informed opinion. There's a lot of people out there that are... you know, they just base their opinions on what other people say, and that's a shame. That's not how people should think. People should come to their own conclusions on how things work. This is why, unfortunately, you have this, like the Ash conformity experiment, right? It's a matter of conforming to other people's opinions. Isn't it known that so-and-so is a grifter? Isn't it known that so-and-so is a liar? That's not how truth works. Truth doesn't work based on consensus. Truth works based on facts. Tom, man, we warned you, bud. You got to come back in 30 minutes, man. Guys, please do not say weird, creepy parasocial stuff in the chat. It's not what this is about, man. Like, it wouldn't fly if you were saying stuff like that. If it was a girl streamer, it doesn't fly if you're saying stuff like that for me as well. So just focus on the content, man. Appreciate it. Joseph, you can come back tomorrow. Don't gaslight me, man. Gaslighting, like, I'm trying to be nice but not permanently banning people, but if you gaslight me in my chat, you can have whatever opinions you want, but if you gaslight me in terms of what I think and try to get me to believe whatever you want to think, I've already been 100% clear. First of all, we've already addressed every debunk that's out there, and we've shown why they're not credible. Second of all, there's literally nothing you can say that's going to get me to stop no matter what. I don't care what your opinion is. I don't care that you think the videos are debunked. Does not matter to me whatsoever. There is literally nothing you can say to me that's going to get me to stop. So please don't even try. Actually, there is one thing. You could find the person that supposedly hoaxed these videos who does not exist. You could find them and figure out how they're going to show their source work so they could collect the $150,000 bounty, guys. Anything less than that is not acceptable. I've been clear about that for months and months and months and months. So that's the hinge point, right? The reason why you're not able to find that person, the reason why that person hasn't come forward is not because there's some mystery Bitcoin billionaire with super master VFX skills that can do the work of a whole team without making any mistakes. The answer is because they don't exist. Because what we're looking at are real videos. And if you can't understand that this is a real video, then that's on you, man. If you can't look at this and realize that you're looking at a real video here from an MQ-1C Gray Eagle, and that there's no way somebody could have created this given the requirements, the huge list of requirements that we put forth, then that's on you, man. I hope that for the people that are out there, I hope that you can come around and realize that what we're looking at here with the accurate camera shake and with the zooming where the camera shake increases, with the 3D parallax clouds in the background, no discrepancy, with the manual tracking of the plane where it goes off the screen. If you can't realize that we're looking at a real video here, that's just on you. You don't need to try to convince me. I don't care. And I'm not going to sit there and try to convince you. I'm just going to keep presenting the evidence and my opinions. Look at that, man. I think the reality is people need this to be fake more than they have evidence of it being fake. The person that made this is also some kind of physics expert, an engineering expert, and mathematics expert. Like, who is this mythical super person who you think has VFX skills that are better than major studios and entire teams, that have a better understanding of physics than PhDs, even people like Eric Weinstein, that has a better understanding of engineering and what the capabilities are of a 777-200, that has better mathematical understanding of sinusoidal patterns and perfect wave functions and circling around the plane? Who is this mythical person, right? Like, there's one last thing that I wanted to say regarding this before we go back and finish this letter, is that the thing about the skeptics is that they don't put themselves up to scientific scrutiny. That's the irony of their statements, is that they claim to be for science, but they don't even know what the word science means. I probably need to be saying this more on podcasts. Science is the scientific method, which is proposing a hypothesis and then following that hypothesis up with evidence and determining if it matches up. Saying that, okay, here's your hypothesis, is that somebody added a portal effect from a Pyromania VFX. Okay, well, then the first hole that you point into it is, okay, well, why does only one frame similar? Why is this the only similar frame? And how did they change this? And why did they change this? Now you need to develop a story for that. You can't just say, oh, well, they just did. It's too close. That's not how science works. And then you need to explain why none of the other frames are even close. And then you need to explain, well, who's the person that did this and why? You need to develop a whole story. And how does this fit in with all the rest of the evidence as well? The problem with the skeptics is that they think that they don't have to put themselves to the same level of scrutiny that they put other people to. You need to develop a whole comprehensive story. And I've always said this. If you're a skeptic who's watching, full comprehensive story for how the video was faked, who faked it, when they faked it, and why. You need to build your 14 pages of evidence for how they did it and when they did it, who did it, and why they did it, what their background is. And the reason why you can't do that is because your story falls apart the moment you try. You can't even get past the first part, which is, why did Regicide say that they received this video on March 12th, 2014? And the reason why they can't do that is because now you'd have to link Regicide Anon to being the person who faked it, which is going to fall apart of itself as well. Right? Okay. Danny Jones, you're gone. Okay, so this is what the scientific method is, right? And that's what I am doing as well. And you can tell the course of the investigation how it's changed. And the reason why we're now so strongly opinionated on the fire scenario is because we've got huge amounts of evidence for it. Huge amounts of evidence. If we had this much evidence and it wasn't related to something anomalous, we would easily be able to win in a court of law, unanimous jury opinion. The only thing holding people back is the idea that anti-gravity they don't think can be real, the fact that this all implies that there is a construct in our universe and that we haven't been told this by the physicists that we trust and that our academia and that our television. That's the only thing holding it back. right? Okay, it's getting pretty late. You know what? I may just finish this up tomorrow. I think we've got the framework for it here, but I kind of want to sleep on it. It's getting pretty late. I think that I'm going to edit it up a little bit, and this is probably the framework for it. But I want to sleep on it a little bit, just make sure I don't think of anything else. And then what I think I may do is I may post it in the morning for Dr. Greer. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to retweet this, linking to the post I did about truth, which goes through my theory of what happened in the plane, so that if he or anybody else wants to read it, they can click on that link. They can read about what I think happened in the plane based on the evidence that we put forth. And that this is kind of like my appeal to Dr. Greer. Because the reality is, even like what Diamond says, a lot of people don't trust Dr. Greer. That's fine. The reality is he has huge connections. He can get this in front of the people that we want to get this in front of, which is Congress. That's where we're trying to get it in front of Congress, right? Yeah, the letter to Ashton Forbes, guys, gets more and more credible with each day. It's getting kind of scary. In fact, I want to go look back at that real quick. Did that channel just literally go dark? Apparently, wait, one sec. I think apparently this one's coming out with a new video, I think, this channel. I don't know if it's going to be against us or for us. I have no idea. I have no connection to them. I just am happy that people are posting about the case in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, so this whole channel just went dark. Completely went dark. Isn't this super weird? It makes 3 videos about the Miami aliens, then sends me the creepiest letter I've ever received in my life and hopefully will ever receive in my life. This was 3 weeks ago. Then it does this New York City tunnels thing. And then it does the glitter one, which was really weird. And there was a message in there to us in the first part of it. Then it does the follow-up with the glitter thing, which the whole glitter thing is like a real conspiracy, but the way they present it is like some kind of a little too out there with this idea of they can manipulate people's emotions through these like tiny endrimers or whatever it is. And then they do the Chan Thomas, the magnetic reversal stuff. And then it just goes dark, completely dark. The thing that's weird about this is if I was imagining a psyop, like another intelligence community that wanted to send me a message, this is how they do it. You would bookend it with some stuff that's not related in the front and at the end, right? Oh, yeah, we should look on Twitter. What was it? What was his name? Wasn't it Scary Dan? Are they gone? What was their name, guys? You guys remember what their name was? I thought that they posted it somewhere on Twitter. And then they just went dark. And they just completely disappeared. Because people were arguing, well, they were trying to use it to promote their channel. But they obviously weren't because they just completely stopped. Yeah, it's just gone. It's just not doing anything anymore. So obviously this wasn't for money. They never copyright striked us, even though we played the full videos on my streams and everything else gets copyright striked. Is it Creepy Dan? I don't know. You guys, didn't it say in one of these posts what their name was? This was also just the weirdest, man. The AI in this and the production value was way too high. Way too high. It's bizarre.
You are my
just
last.
For like some random dude doing this. I thought that it said in one of these posts. And they had some weird copyright thing in here. I don't remember where I found the name. Anyway. You think this is the Men in Black telling me to stop? I think it's the opposite. I think this is somebody telling me to keep going. I want to listen to that letter again tonight before I go to sleep. No, it was something Dan. I saw it. I thought it was in one of the... Oh, password is truth. It literally says right there. Huh. Yeah, and then they said, where is this? This is weird, man. Anyway. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to go to sleep. I think the letter so far is pretty good. I've just got to flesh it out a little bit. I was going to post it tonight, but there's no point posting it this late anyway. I should post it first thing in the morning when I wake up. So I'm going to read through it one more time. I'm going to flesh it out just a little bit more, edit it a little bit more, and I'm going to post it. I think this hits all of Greer's high points, guys. What are your guys' thoughts on this hitting the high points of Greer stuff? If anybody's watched his one, especially about the technology that was hidden from us, the lost century or whatever it is. So we talked about, what stuff does Dr. Greer talk about? He talks about the technology. He talks about the third-party contract. Oh, there are orbs. I think I mentioned that, though. Did I mention that it's our orbs? Yeah, okay. I think that... Yeah, okay, I think that's good to add that in there. So basically I'm saying I do not believe the orbs in MH370 videos are showing non-human intelligence. The scenario seems like a military operation. I'm not going to go into all the depths of why it's a military operation, but I think that's a good starter for that. Yeah, that's probably good for that paragraph. So see, I got to add a few more things. We have to make sure we're talking about the U.S. military. Night Liam. Also, I just want to thank everybody who's been following. It's been really good. Yeah, I want to hear Creepy Dan again too, but I don't want to go over it tonight. I'm too tired. I think we may go over the Creepy Dan thing tomorrow. Yeah, the letter is looking pretty good here for Dr. Stephen Greer, but as you can tell, there's still a few things that I'm missing that I just need to think about for tonight. So I think tomorrow's stream, we're going to go over the Creepy Dan thing one more time very quickly. We'll just listen to it again. And then we're going to go into science most likely as well. There's also a couple other things that we're going to go into tomorrow, but I've got some pretty interesting science stuff that I think I want to dig into even more. Okay, guys, I think that's going to be it for tonight. Thank you guys for following. I know it's late. Thank you for being here on a Saturday night with us. Everybody have a great evening. Thanks for following along and being part of MH370X. You guys are awesome. Have a good one.